Hi, and welcome to another episode of the F1GridView, episode 15. Today we'll be reviewing the British Grand Prix. I'm Harsh, and that's Mihika. Hi, Mihika.
Hi.
How was the race for you?
It was a really good race, aside from the crash that happened in the first lap. Other
Yeah,
than that, it was pretty good, pretty entertaining. I think there wasn't a time when, you couldn't focus on the race because it was
correct.
so nice.
I think for me, this is the best race of the season as yet. I
Yeah,
think I can say that.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
only like if I have to sum it up, I will say best race of the season, and I will say thank you, Halo, because it definitely saved a life.
Yeah,
How much ever
definitely.
they've been complaining about it. If you
I
haven't,
think it, I think now the teams have understood how important it is, so people have stopped complaining
yeah,
at
just
this
to give
point.
everybody context, basically when the race started, Zhou Guan Yu just went into Alex Albon and George Russell, both of them, and his
Yeah.
car flipped upside down and it skid all the way through the gravel. It hit the barriers. It flipped again and it got stuck behind the fencing and the wheel barriers. And the only way he was alive and he saved himself was the halo that was pressing against the ground and not his head. So yeah, that was just scary. First, I think it was within like 15 seconds, and it was really scary.
Yeah, it was one of, like, I mean, everyone didn't know what to do at that point. Of course, we saw
Yeah,
George running towards him and stuff, but like, these are the moments when you realize how scary the sport is.
yeah. Not just for him, even the first and the second people on watching the race. Like if you see them, they
Yeah.
are running for their lives because
Yeah, there
of the
are,
way the car
videos
flips.
of people coming and running up because the force that it's coming at.
Yeah, correct. So, yeah, thank you, Halo, for literally saving a life. And apparently, there was another crash in F2 also,
Yeah.
because which obviously got saved because of the Halo. So, yeah, uh, a very fun race. It also put us in the mood for a sprint race next week because of uh, Esteban Ocon, whose car stopped at the old pit lane straight, and we had to then get in a safety car. Everybody got soft tires except one person who didn't get new tires or should have got new tires,
I don't know
and it
why
just became like a
Ferrari
12 lap
didn't pit
sprint.
him.
I have a feeling that he's done something to the lead analyst. He's dated his girl, his daughter, and he's like broken up weirdly, or he's done something bad to do something with the Ferrari lead. Because I'm telling you, if you have three options and you'll find the worst one, they will pick the worst one and they'll give that to Charles. It's like
Yeah,
Ferrari desperately
at this
wanting to
point,
lose.
it's like if the engine doesn't fail, the Ferrari strategy has to somehow fail
Yeah,
and make sure that, Charles fails the race.
yeah. I don't know what they're doing, but
Because,
Ferrari is really, really,
the
really the only
at that
person
point,
helping Verstappen win the championship at this point.
it wasn't like Charles would have lost any places because everyone
No,
was pitting.
he would have,
And
even if he lost, he would have come out second or third. He would still be on
and
the podium for sure.
he lost a podium also.
Yeah,
So
I mean, after the race restarted, so the safety car came in at lap 40 or 52, and there were 12 laps to go.
yeah,
And everybody changed their tires. The front runners were Charles, followed by Sainz, followed by Hamilton, followed by Perez,
yeah.
and Alonso and Norris. Um, they
Hmm.
all they all pit. They all pit. First lap, only Charles and Hamilton pit. Then Perez, Alonso, and Rust and Norris also pit. All of them get soft tires because there are only 12 laps to go, and we're just waiting for the box to Charles, and he comes in during the second one. But there is nothing like that. Ferrari wants to hold position, wants to hold P1 and not let go. And every now when the safety car's ending, everybody is on soft tires where he is on 30 or 20 lap old hards, and there is no
Yeah,
way he's going to be able to defend himself at all.
of course not. And like that cost him a lot of points. And
Yeah,
I mean, if he would have managed to get on the podium, it would have gotten him closer to Verstappen in the championship points, because
Definitely.
Verstappen didn't get that many points also this weekend.
True. And something very interesting, just before the safety car ended, was Ferrari talking to Sainz and telling Sainz to maintain a gap of 10 cars from him and Charles. And he said, there is no way I can do that. I am on softs. Everybody behind me is on softs. If I give that gap, somebody's just going to overtake me and overtake Charles also. So,
of course,
I loved how Sainz didn't care. He's always the good team man.
Even in the beginning, what I really liked was Ferrari not interfering and telling them to race on their own.
That's true. Like we saw them.
Brings me to changing your username.
There was just a one-day thing. If you didn't do it that day, I think it's over.
No, you have to do it.
Okay, we'll see that out. Yeah. So a lot of DNFs in the first lap itself. We had Zhou. Then we had Alex Albon's Williams and George Russell's Mercedes out. George Russell tried really, really hard to see and to speak to the FIA to see if his car could still get repaired and get continued for the race, because it had a 50-minute red flag. So they were just hoping. A lot of people have actually wondered why so when the red flag happened, Max Verstappen, before the red flag, took P1 from Carlos. But when the race restarted, it restarted to the old qualifying where Carlos was P1 and Max was P2. It didn't start with Max P1. This is because when the red flag happens, you at least have to complete one sector for those results to count in. So if sector 1 had got completed and then the race would have got red flagged and Max was ahead, then Max would again start P1. But because sector 1 was not completed, so Max started P2. So there was a lot of confusion with people going why Max didn't start P1 and why Carlos was again P1 at the start of the second restart, basically. So yeah, talking about DNFs, Lewis Hamilton is the only driver who's not DNF this whole season. We have Mr. Consistent George Russell out, sadly. So yeah, Lewis Hamilton is the only one guy who hasn't DNF this year.
Really good coming, like this whole season, how he has performed. That's pretty good.
I would say they haven't built a very strong car, but they've definitely built a very reliable car.
Yeah. I mean, that's about Red Bull saying that, we want a reliable car, but it's not always reliable.
Correct.
Even however fast they've made it.
Yeah. So that was a very fun start. Charles Leclerc hasn't. I don't know what is happening, but they don't pick it up. The championship is easily slipping from their hands. They really need to buck up now because they've not had a good result. Then just Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton was again on the podium in the British Grand Prix. He broke his record for the highest podiums at a single race, which was 13 podiums at Silverstone, which is really, really impressive. Another standout highlight for me was Nicholas Latifi putting it to P10 in qualifying. Very, very unexpected.
Really good. It was like Latifi just wanted to slap it on to Williams that, even though
I didn't get the upgrades this week.
Exactly.
I might be replaced.
I am getting replaced maybe in this season itself. And he was like, you know what, I'll just show it to y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't get into points, but it was still a brilliant weekend for him, I would say.
Definitely. He was the first. And like if you told me who will get into Q3 at the start of the season first, I would definitely not have my money on Latifi. It will definitely have been Albon. But this is the first time Williams this year has got into Q3, and that's because of Nicholas. Going back to Charles, basically, if you see the last 7 races, he's been on the podium only once. He's made it only once in Miami on the podium, and in the last 7 races, this is really, really after coming from such a strong preseason testing. The first couple of races had been so good for Ferrari and Charles. We expected them to run away with it, but a couple of bad performances. Not bad performances, bad car performances, and really, really, really terrible terrible, what do you say, analysis and the decisions by the Ferrari management team has led to Charles not having even one podium finish. I really think
Yeah.
people should just message them on LinkedIn to see, like, we don't have a lot of experience, but I still think we could do a better job.
I saw someone's email draft that, I am very inexperienced, but I think I can do a better job than your analyst right now.
Yeah, I think they definitely could. Like, really.
Yeah. Moving to the qualifying
yes.
classification.
So we had something very interesting also is you have both the Aston Martins again getting out in Q3. It was a wet qualifying. They got their timings wrong in Montreal in Canada last race as well, and they screwed up again. I thought this time as well. They had a good shot of getting into Q2 at least, but they sent out Vettel at the very last moment, and you saw Vettel getting out in Q3 itself. Similarly with Albon as well.
Was, I mean, from Q3, Carlos's last lap was just amazing.
Oh, yes.
And him not realizing that he's gotten the pole position, not agreeing, not accepting.
Kept saying how mediocre lap he thought it was.
Exactly. That was just like so nice.
So yeah, this is also a very rare incident of somebody getting their first pole and first victory at the same race.
It happened, I think, after 10 years. It happened in 2012 last.
Yeah, so that's really rare that you see that. So
yeah,
the drivers that got eliminated in Q3 were Alex Albon, Kevin Magnussen, Sebastian Vettel, Mick Schumacher, and Lance Stroll. Has finished qualified P5 and P7 in Montreal, got no points. They qualified P17 and P19, and both of them end up in points. Like, I don't know what is happening, but I was really, really happy for Haas. We'll come to Haas and Mick getting his first points later. So Q2.
Pierre Gasly, Bottas, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, and Ocon got out.
Yeah, Ocon and Ricciardo have been really, really outperformed by their teammates this year, Alonso and Norris. Alonso doesn't have a lot of points to show for it, but things have obviously gone very wrong for him with the car and reliability of the car. So, but he's been putting up some fantastic performances. Is this 40-year-old Fernando Alonso now? So, and Ricciardo as well. He had an issue in the race, but he still qualified P14 to his teammate qualifying P6.
This whole season has been very mediocre, worse than mediocre, I would say.
Last year was not great. Last year was not great, but he had that win to at least.
Exactly, he turned it around with the win, and he did pretty decent for the Spa weekend, even though he couldn't race and get to the podium. But other than that, he still got more points though.
Yeah, he did. It was definitely a terrible qualifying from them, and our order for the first for the Q3 was Carlos putting it on pole, Max Verstappen second, Charles Leclerc third, followed by Perez, Hamilton, Norris, Fernando Alonso, George Russell, who had a very mediocre qualifying on a very strong Mercedes that weekend, Zhou Guanyu, who put his Alpha to P9, and Nicholas Latifi in P10. So there was some really, really interesting runs, and the qualifying definitely was fun. On a wet qualifying generally always is.
Yeah, the qualifying was, I think, really interesting. With Nicholas Latifi also, reaching into the Q3, Carlos doing really good. It was a really entertaining qualifying.
Correct. So moving ahead to our race, to our qualifying points, Charles is still number one here. You see the difference, you see Max catching up to him a little bit, but you know how good Charles has been on a single lap, which is because of how well he's leading this championship. If this is points, if there was just qualifying points, and Verstappen is number 2, Carlos number 3, and Perez number 4. And Charles has been really doing well. And a very interesting stat we will also see is Nicholas Latifi has finally got points. So he's gone ahead of Albon and Hulkenberg. So yeah, he's P19.
But like in the normal classification also, Latifi has reached P20 now.
Yes, he has.
It's
He's
an
not
achievement.
P21 anymore. Yeah, we'll have Mazepin, who was 21 in the 20 driver. That's not going anywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the race classifications. We had a lot of DNFs. Ocon, Gasly, Bottas, Russell, Zhou, Albon. So we know how Albon, Zhou, and Russell were eliminated. Bottas had an issue with his car, and when he pit for changing tires, they had to stop the car. Gasly got into a slight tussle with his own teammate Yuki Tsunoda, who got a 5-second penalty for driving Gasly out of the way. And Ocon obviously doing everybody a favor and making the race a little more interesting by throwing in that safety car and getting everybody to pit for fresher tires so that they could sprint on softs till the end.
Okay, firstly, the last 3 laps, Hamilton, Perez, Leclerc trying to overtake each other.
Not just them, if you see them and how close Alonso and Norris also were.
Yeah.
Because Verstappen was definitely in a car that was not doing well.
Everyone was just trying to defend and overtake at the same time.
And that beautiful overtake and commentary where you have Perez fighting with Leclerc, and they've both gone a little towards the outside of the turn, and you see Hamilton just zooming past, and you hear this whole crowd roaring, and that brilliant commentary from Crofty and Rundle, and it was just fantastic. That moment, even though he could hold on to that peak position, just those.
He didn't. I think it was there for a few seconds, minutes.
Yeah, just till the next turn, and both of them overtook him again. But obviously, he would overtake Leclerc before the end because he was on much better tires. For everybody wondering why Verstappen finished P7, Verstappen got some damage. That he said his floor was not doing as well as it's supposed to. There was some piece of debris or something stuck in the floor, because of which he slowed down. And
everyone's seen the picture of Verstappen holding it.
It was a massive piece of an Alpha Tauri that had come off of Yuki Tsunoda's car. So yeah, he was driving with that, and obviously that slowed him down completely, and he couldn't go faster. Yeah,
but it was another good thing was Verstappen and Schumacher in the last lap.
That was lovely. Like I genuinely wanted Mick to score some points. And when I saw him trying to overtake, I knew Verstappen was not going to give him an inch. I was hoping Mick would just let go, let Verstappen take P7, just be happy with P8. But obviously, Mick is a race driver. At the end of the day, he wanted those points. He wanted that place. He kept going behind. I thought Verstappen might have just overstepped a little bit, but it was good fighting. And it was Mick getting points was great. I didn't want him to crash out.
Yeah. You were waiting for both the Red Bull cars to crash out the whole race.
No, that was Ferrari.
Sorry, both the Ferrari cars, but that definitely didn't happen, Harsh.
No, it didn't go to plan. I think.
Yeah. It was honestly really good to see you cry every time there was something wrong with the Red Bull cars. We had Max slow down, Max pitting too much.
Perez was the driver of the day. He started from P4, got into a tangle in the first lap, went down to P15, and then P16, and then finished all the way up to P2. It was as good as his Sakir Grand Prix victory. So that was really good. And we spoke about Ricciardo having issues. His DRS flap was stuck open. His DRS flap won't go back to normal, and when they pit him once, they fixed it manually, but then he didn't have DRS for the rest of the race, so he finished P13. Tsunoda got a penalty. He finished P14. Nicholas Latifi was in the points for a while, but then he also finished P12. Stroll was P11. Magnussen, the second point scorer.
Latifi would end up in points in his first.
I really didn't think so. The car around him were much quicker, so it was really difficult to hold on. You've seen Alex
Yeah.
do it, but that was really just because of tire management that he did it in Melbourne. He kept those hard tires for almost 50 laps and pit only at the last lap, I think.
Yeah,
So
he pitted pit in the, I think, the last lap, and then
yeah, last
Norris
lap.
called him a muppet for doing that.
Yeah, but you have to. The regulations state that you have to pit at
Yeah, he
least
said,
once.
who cares about the regulations?
Yeah. So Magnussen was P10, the second point scorer for Haas, Vettel P9, and Mick Schumacher P8. Just the you could just hear Vettel in the post race, like how happy he was.
Yeah,
For
even
Mick
like
also.
the photos of them post race are just so wholesome. Him
Yeah.
congratulating him being so happy for him.
Like even his sister Gina and his mother
Yeah,
celebrating.
on the
Gina
radio.
spraying the champagne at him. She just, whenever she
Yeah,
comes, she just reminds me of Michael. That face she has, it looks so similar to Michael, and I could only imagine how Michael would feel like if he was here at this moment, or how he feels if he's watching Mick do well. So yeah,
yes.
much needed points for Mick. A little late, but they will gladly be accepted. It'll give him a lot of boost in confidence. Um, Alonso and Norris both doing really well for their teams itself, getting a bunch of points. That's where the real fight is in the constructors. It's Alpine and McLaren who are battling it out. Because I think
Yeah.
Ferrari's gone to P2. I don't think they're getting P1
Ferrari,
any.
yeah, there is a huge gap between
Yeah,
Ferrari and
we'll come to
P3.
that. Sorry, we'll come to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to our.
There
Uh,
was another thing
sorry.
pointed
Yeah.
out. Both second drivers
Oh yes, on the
on
podium.
all three second drivers on the podium, because like
Yep,
at this
yep,
point
yep.
everyone's considering Hamilton as the second driver for
Yeah, like
Mercedes.
he is. If you look at the points, he clearly
Yeah,
is. So
according to the points, he's definitely. So that was a nice thing.
yeah, nice boost for all the second drivers.
Yeah.
So pit stops. We had some really interesting strategies. I really didn't understand what went wrong with Red Bull and Verstappen. If Verstappen was good to start on softs in one lap, I don't know what changed that they put him on mediums.
I think it was, I don't know. Would have
Similarly with
been,
Vettel also. Vettel was on softs, but then they put him on old softs, and
yeah.
yeah, it didn't make sense. So yeah, and Perez also obviously got damage in the fourth lap, and he had to pit. He pulled his strength. He pulled his mediums for quite a bit, and then obviously when Ocon crashed, everybody did switch to soft
Yeah.
tires.
Perez held them for a really long time, because I remember seeing and waiting for him to go pit, because
Correct.
I obviously didn't want him to,
Correct.
be on the top.
But you see, you see Charles, and you see, like, I don't know what Ferrari were thinking. Clearly, he was on old hards. Everybody
Yeah.
around him is on new soft tires, or even old soft tires for that matter. But they are on soft tires. They're on much quicker tires. Why would you be on such old hard tires where you know there is no chance of you? It was good for him that Alonso and Norris were actively trying to fight Hamilton. They didn't push a lot, and they could have
Yeah.
overtaken Leclerc as well. He would keep slipping down the points. If he was just a point or two ahead of Verstappen, like, you have to benefit when Verstappen is not doing well. But if you
Definitely.
yourself
And
screw up with your strategy, how is that going to help you?
Verstappen also broke his streak of, if I race, I either win, or I am either on the podium or
Or I don't
I
finish the race. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he knew how important the points were. It reminded me of Hungary last year, where he was P9 and P10. He and Ricardo were fighting for the final points. He just knew how important those 1 points were going to be,
Yeah.
and that's how it turned out in Abu Dhabi. So yeah,
But like at this point, let's hope Abu Dhabi is interesting
oh
this year
yes.
as well.
But
Because
I really don't think so, because of how good Red Bull
we are
have
seeing
been and how
Verstappen
good.
run away with the points,
Yeah,
and we don't see Ferrari being able to put up a good fight either.
correct. Like, even though Charles is trying his hardest, people at Ferrari are trying harder to bring him down. So yeah, that's kudos to them
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's see where our drivers stand in the championship. Verstappen is 181, Perez is second with 147, Charles is slipped to third with 138. Sainz has got a good push with his fastest lap and winning the race at 127. Russell
Yeah,
won
now
1-1.
there's not much of a difference between Sainz and Leclerc.
Yeah. So because Leclerc has had some really bad.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just putting it out there. Maybe they were thinking of giving this strategy to Charles, but since Sainz was ahead and qualified P1, qualified on pole, they
Yeah.
were pushing for Sainz to get this win. Maybe give this win and him to understand that he was the number 2 driver for the rest of the season. So
That is
maybe they could make
possible.
it work some way with Sainz saying that we got you your victory here. Now just let's just do it for Charles, and let's maybe let play the second fiddle basically and play the number 2 driver like how Bottas has been for years, and
Yeah.
let's make Charles win this championship. Let Ferrari get the points home.
But for that, Ferrari needs like a really good strategy at this point, because
Yeah,
it's like more than 40 points. It's
yeah.
43 points.
Monaco, they screwed it up. They screwed it up here. They can't afford to do this anymore at all.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, let's see where our constructors are at this point. Uh, Red Bull is at
That is a
328. That is a
good
massive lead.
63 points difference.
And Ferrari did manage to close down that lead, so it looked even bigger before this race. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I think the 1, 2, 3 are all sorted. They're not moving
60,
from where they
60,
are.
60. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a 60, 60, 60
Correct. So
average.
they're not moving from where they are. I think 1, 2, 3
Yeah.
is set. We've got our final standings there, but the next 3 teams are where the battle's at. Alfa Romeo has done well. They've DNF'd with both the cars today. They're still at 51. Alpine
Yeah.
got Alonso in the points. McLaren got Norris in the points. They're having these one driver getting points kind of seasons, where McLaren is completely Norris dominated, or Alpine is completely Ocon dominated. Even though
Yeah.
Fernando has been getting good, has been doing well,
But
but just not been getting points.
yeah.
So yeah, Aston Martin's got a good chunk of points this time. They're on 18. Williams has got 3. So yeah, let's just hope that it gets more interesting. Even in the bottom 3, 4, Alpha Tauri is, I don't know where they're languishing. This is not really where they are. They're not competing with Haas. They're a
Yeah.
much better team. So
Definitely.
yeah, they'll have to definitely pull up the socks. Both the Alpha Tauri drivers as well.
Okay, coming to the best part of the race review.
Yes. So yeah, in case you're joining us for the first time or you haven't seen this part of our video, so we basically rate the drivers from 0 to 10, and this is
For the whole
not
weekend.
this is not just the race. This is starting from free practice 1, 2, 3, qualifying, and the race itself. So yeah, Mihika, you can start.
Okay. Alex had a very mediocre quali. Had a
Yes.
crash, not more than 3.54.
Yeah, 3.54. He had upgrades. He could have done better. His teammate
Yeah.
beat him on. So
His
yeah, three
teammate
and a
went to
half.
Q3.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm gonna give him a 2.5 actually. His
Yeah,
teammate managed to
2.5,
go to
3.
Q3.
Yeah,
Yeah. He qualified Q3. He was
correct.
P9. Pretty good. Qualified before like above Bottas.
I think that was a
So
solid 6 in quali.
yeah. But
And
then the crash, glad he's glad he's safe. But I guess a 6 only.
yeah, a 6.5 would do well, I think.
Yeah.
George Russell didn't have a great quali.
Yeah,
Crashed out
neither.
himself again.
Yeah.
So
So a 5,
5,
4.5.
yeah, a 5.
Yeah.
He should do really well in that car. He should be qualifying P8.
Definitely.
Last time he did
Definitely.
qualify P8 in the wets, but he did manage to try something and go for softs and get pole. But this time he didn't even have that. He just qualified P8 on his own merit. So yeah, just a 5 for George.
Bottas qualified Q2. Not
Yeah.
that great for him. Ended up
Decent in that
DNF.
car, I would say. But like
But
when you
like,
see Joe
we've seen
getting
him
into Q3, yeah,
for the longest of times. So
correct.
I would say a 4 because
Yeah,
he
I would
DNF.
agree. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Pierre Gasly qualified P11, but then crashed. Couldn't complete the race. He DNF'd again.
Yeah.
So I
But
think
the
him
crash
and
wasn't
Esteban.
exactly his fault.
Yeah, true. But he was still not in the
So
points at that point. So
yeah,
him and I think him and Esteban would be like a 4 for me.
yeah,
Uh,
agreed.
Esteban also similarly qualified P15 and
Sonoda,
then his engine gave up.
yeah,
Yuki Tsunoda was qualified P13, but then crashed into his own teammate, made him stop. Uh, a 3, a
three,
4, three and a
yeah,
half, 4. Yeah,
three.
not more than that.
Ricardo
Daniel,
reached Q2, but then had issues with his car.
yeah,
So
just a
4,
mediocre 4,
4.5.
4.5 half. Yeah, 4.5.
Yeah.
Latifi has I
He's
think
gonna
has a
get a 9
solid
from me.
7. No, no, no.
He's
I'm
getting
going to
a
stick to
9.
a 7. I'm going to stick to a 7.
He,
Okay, we'll
he
settle at
managed
8.
to, yeah, 8. Let's settle at
Yeah.
8. He managed to get into Q3 without the car upgrades, and outperformed his teammate in both.
Yes.
I mean, it's another thing that his teammate crashed, but
Yeah.
still, and
Still,
like
8 points.
for his luck, he ended up at P12 and not his usual P18.
Correct. So, yeah, let's give
Yeah.
him a 9. Let's give him an 8.
Yeah.
Lance Stroll.
Lance didn't qualify well, but
No. But
ended
he
up
did make up, yeah, he did make up a
11th.
lot of places and finished P11. Just outside
But
the
like
points,
we
I think a
can't count
4.
that. We
No,
can't
not really.
count
He
that
didn't finish with
technically.
points. He
Like
didn't finish
6
with
people
points and
DNF.
6 people DNF. Yeah. And
Exactly.
he is the faster car in the ahead of the Williams. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, 4, 4.5, I think would suffice.
Yeah.
Uh, Kevin Magnussen
Magnussen.
had a very, very mediocre quali, but then he had a
Yeah.
great race.
Yeah.
I think a 6.5, 7.
Yeah.
No, like
Definitely.
if he got into the points, I would like, if
Yeah.
you get in the points, that's definitely
7.
going to be over 5 for sure. So, for
Yeah.
7, yeah. Seb was P18 again, got it to P9, so 7 as well for Seb, I would say.
Yeah.
Mick would just get that bonus for the next for his
Yeah.
first points. So
8.
P8, I would just not say for his first
Qualified.
points, but even of the fight with Max,
Yeah.
that took
Definitely.
some courage to go up against the world
Yeah.
champion, go wheel to wheel. Yeah,
Yeah.
8 points for
Definitely.
Verstappen had a great quali.
Yes.
He didn't have. It was not his fault. He didn't get into an accident of any sorts or anything.
Yeah.
The debris just got stuck to him, and yeah, I would say a 7 for Max.
0.5. Yeah.
Yeah, 7.5 for Max. Lando qualified P6, finished P6.
Finished P6. Not much, so 7.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Alonso qualified 7, ended up 5. Would give him a 7.5.
Yeah, a 7.58, I think, yes.
Charles,
okay,
minus
Charles is a
1
9. Charles is a 9. The
Bad
Ferrari strategy team
strategy.
is a -5.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I think that brings Charles to a 4. No, but we'll give him a 6, I think. 7, 6.5, 7.
7.
Like he
7.
could do much better in that car.
Yeah, but like they didn't make him pit, so I get
Yeah.
7.5.
Yeah.
Hamilton qualified P5, qualified above his teammate, ended up
Yeah.
above his teammate, is the second driver, was on podium. I
Yeah.
think these are good enough reasons
9.
to give him an 8.59.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Perez also. Perez had a solid comeback.
Battle. He had a really good battle. I would give him a 9.
And he was unwell. He still managed to do all this while being unwell, and like just Papa Perez and Lewis Hamilton's father on the podium ceremony just melted my heart. I was just waiting for Carlos Sainz Sr., but he was not there at the race, unfortunately. We got Tom Cruise. Okay, we'll take that, but yeah, that's gonna be fine. So
Carlos,
yeah,
a 10.
that's a 10. That's a 10.
Definitely.
Finished P1. Finished
Qualified
on P1,
P1.
qualified P1, finished at the top, got his first victory. That monkey's off your back now. Maybe you can do better in the future, and you're not waiting for that first win. And he had Perez with him on the podium, so it's somebody who clearly knew what it meant to wait for so long and to then get your first win. So maybe this just signs the better things to come for Carlos.
It was the second longest wait after Perez.
Yeah, it was.
170 for Perez, 150 for Carlos.
Yeah, so they both know how that feels. So very happy for them together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been it for this week's episode. We're in Austria, right? We're at the Red Bull Ring
Yeah,
there.
Red Bull Ring.
So we're at the Red Bull Ring this weekend. There are some chances of rain there. So let's hope we get another wet qualifying and another wet race. Maybe that will just spice things up. The Red Bulls have been actually very good at their own arena. So we
Yeah.
might just have that, or we might just have Ferrari and Charles pulling something out of the bag and maybe pitting.
Do you want to bet another time for Red Bull and end up losing?
I mean, let's hope not.
What name?
Let's see
When are we
qualifying.
changing your name, Harsh?
Are we? I don't know. Have you thought of a name?
Of course we are. Okay. I am not sure. I want to say sorry, Carlos, or something like that.
Okay. If we do something like that, think of it. Let me know. We'll do this.
Done.
Yeah.
We shall update
so that's
the
been
name.
it from this week's episode of the F1 GridView. Bye guys. Bye.
Bye. Good night.